Hey everyone, welcome back to OC Recovery's YouTube channel. I was asked on a recent video if I could do a video covering social anxiety, how to break it down, maybe some of the avoidance behaviors we partake in, even some of the really subtle ones, the fear of rejection, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of not looking intelligent, which ties into all that as well. And really a lot of social anxiety comes from the fear of rejection and the fear of feeling a sensation that you don't want to feel. That sensation of, oh, I'm so uncomfortable right now, I'm such an introvert and stuff like that. Before I go any further, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below, let me know what you think, and let's jump right into it. But as I was just speaking, I kind of wanted to talk about something. So there's no such thing as an introvert or an extrovert in entirety. They're not real. So if you look at someone who says they're an introvert, which usually is more problematic than someone that says they're an extrovert when they attach their identity to it. You're not introverted and you're not extroverted as an entire human. You're just a person who might prefer different things. It doesn't mean you're an introvert. Titles and labels attached to our identity are completely problematic and they're not good for long-term mental health. So when you look at someone, all the people I work with who, and I've seen this happen with multiple people that have come and go, made a lot of progress and realized, oh, wow, I guess I wasn't as introverted as I thought. When someone says they're an introvert, this could be what's going on, tied into social anxiety. They believe truly that they don't want to go anywhere because they don't want to have to deal with the discomfort of conversation, which is a major part of life. Sitting in your house doing nothing, not going on vacations because you deem yourself an introvert is not a good way to live your life. It's not. That's very difficult to hear because some people will go, well, that's just who I am. And I would ask you to think about that in a belief system because there's no such thing as introvert and extroverts in entirety. There's just people who might be a little bit more extroverted in certain situations. But even someone like myself, I like to sit out back and hang out and smoke a cigar and listen to some, like last night, I literally smoked a cigar by myself at night at the back and listen to these two guys, two cellos, which some of you may know. That's an introverted activity, but it doesn't mean I'm introverted. So this is the problem that we have. And what I see time and time again is people who attach themselves to being an introvert usually are afraid of feeling the discomfort of being in public. And they feel safer in their room. It doesn't mean you have to go out and force that all the time. Just something to think about. Okay, so as always, inside the ABCs, I'm going to use the ABCs again. We have the activating event, the belief system, and then the consequence. And inside that consequence, we have the emotional consequence, the unhealthy emotional consequence, which is anxiety, fear, shame and embarrassment, rage, anger, guilt, depression, problematic jealousy and envy, and extreme hurtfulness. And then you have the behaviors, the unhealthy behaviors, which is social avoidance. That's number one. Not taking care of yourself, not exercising, not resting, being aggressive, so forth. So I'm going to use probably the most common thing with social anxiety, which is the fear of rejection or fear of looking stupid. So your activating event will be the fear of looking stupid or the fear of rejection. You'll plug and chug and put that in. Again, this is the first book on the reading list. The reason why I'm using this book in so many videos recently is to show you how important this book is to learning how to break down your belief systems. And then you have your B's, you have your irrational beliefs. So your demands, awfulizing and catastrophizing, frustration and intolerance, such as I can't stand it, self-downing, other-downing, or life-downing. So let's take that person who says they're an introvert, right? I'm an introvert, I really just don't like going out. Maybe, but more than likely there's situations where you really don't want to partake in because you don't like the way it makes you feel. So you tell yourself you're an introvert. But what you really are is a person with low frustration tolerance, is what you actually are. There was no introvert and extrovert in the 1930s when people worked in the factory. They just went to work. There was no introvert or extrovert in World War II battlefields or World War I. These terms that we're using are putting people's lives into a box, and they're hindering their ability to become successful in many different ways. OCD recovery, spirituality, religious, money, business, and anything you can think of. When you put those titles on yourself, especially the introvert, which ties very much into social anxiety, I can see right away that you're not what you think you are. You're scared of something. And because you're scared of being rejected, the fear of looking stupid, maybe the physical appearances of how you look, if you deem yourself not physically attractive, maybe you have a stutter, maybe you have a deformity, maybe you lost an arm, whatever it may be, that when you go out in public and you feel that discomfort, you think, oh, I'm an introvert, I like to be inside, I don't want to do that. That's very important. So in those demands, let's plug and chug some of the irrational beliefs around the fear of being rejected, right, for social anxiety. It would be awful and terrible and horrible to be rejected. I can't stand being rejected. It's terrible. I'm a bad, worthless person, and life is not worth living if I get rejected by other people. Okay, super important to cover. And then that goes into probably the emotional consequence of social anxiety is more than likely anxiety, fear, and panic, those sensations. Shame and guilt for sure, but maybe not as much in those scenarios. Unless you have a social anxiety fear tied to a POCD or a harm OCD and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't go out in public because if they only know what I did and so forth and so forth. And then the unhelpful behaviors that you're doing is social avoidance, not going out. So let's go over some of those other subtle behaviors that you're doing. And I'm actually going to pull some of these from Paul David's book, the 5th book in the reading list for It Lasts a Life. Sitting by doors, exits because you want a quick escape, not answering text messages from friends, not using social media at all because you want to be a hermit and stay in and not deal with any sort of, looking at things that make you uncomfortable. And we obviously know the big ones, not going to parties, not going to weddings, not going to birthday parties, not going on vacations, not going to work, only working from home, everything like that. This might be a little bit difficult to hear as well. A lot of people who say, oh, I work better from home, I do not agree with that. I think most people more than likely want the structure or need the structure or would benefit is probably the proper word of going out in that regard. And, sorry, I just got a call. And feeling that discomfort when they go out. That's a very key part of that. I think we're going to see a big problem because of these social anxiety belief systems that can now be perpetuated into people staying home from work. Do I think some people work better from home and have a more optimal outcome, single mother at home with kids? Sure. Do I think long-lasting effects are going to be beneficial in 20, 40, 50 years from now? 100% not even close. I think we're moving in the wrong direction in that, personally. So then after all that, you go back to your disputing, okay? So in your disputing, you have, where is holding this belief getting me? Is it helpful or getting me into trouble? And that answer is no. And it's simple because we'll go back to the introvert example again and then tie this into your fears of fear of rejection. We have to be very clear. Life has social interaction. We don't need it to thrive. Not like most people think. It's extremely beneficial, but we know we don't need it because people are super minimalists and live in the middle of nowhere and they operate just fine. So as a society, are people better off being social creatures? Yes. Is it a 100% necessity? No. Oxygen is a necessity. Water is a necessity. Even shelter can be argued for not 100% necessity because some homeless people don't have really that much shelter. Or people living in plains in different areas of the world where they live in super third world country conditions. So it's not getting you anywhere. Again, I have to highlight, this doesn't mean you can't stay in and you can't do activities where you're by yourself. But when you attach yourself to that identity of, I'm introverted, this is what I like, I see more problems than not, with that when I'm working people with OCD. Especially people who are so scared to go out and feel that discomfort in public. Where is the evidence to support my irrational belief? So let's go to the frustration intolerance, such as I can't stand it. I can't stand going out and being rejected. Well, we know you can because people are rejected on a daily basis. The reality of life that most people don't want to talk about is rejection, people talking shit about you behind your back and putting you down happens much more than people think, especially when you're trying to gain something such as a business success or maybe do something that no one's ever done before. The herd mentality doesn't like change. And when we see change that goes against the identity that the person has attached themselves to, they look at you and go, you're a bad person. Once you break that down and see how irrational that is, it gets a little bit easier to conceptualize why people act the way they do, which then works into unconditional other acceptance. So let's go to your effective new philosophy, okay? And let's chug some of the rational belief systems, okay? So I would like to be accepted by everyone, but I don't have to be. It would be bad and unfortunate if I was rejected or felt discomfort from feeling the anxiety and panic in public, but it's not awful and I can't stand it because I have stood it before. I don't like it, but I can stand it. And I can still enjoy many things, even if it's not my favorite activity. Do you know there are people that I know that won't even go out with their families because they play that card of I'm an introvert, I don't like to go out. That's not really how this operates. There is a fear present, and I can see what that fear is quickly and the discomfort that they don't want to feel. We're living in the most comfort-based society ever. Comfort's great, but we shot the other way, and it's really detrimental to people's lives. And now you have your new goals. And inside your new goals is your emotional consequence, but in a healthy way. So some of your functional, healthy new emotions will be disappointment. Going into, I don't like being rejected, but I can stand it. Sadness as well, sorrow, and concern, but not panic, chronic anxiety, shame, guilt, depersonalization, derealization. And some of the new adaptive, helpful behaviors would be meeting friends or seeking support. That's the first one he wrote. Assertive behaviors by going out there and trying new things, and exercising. I literally have written right here, anxiety is uncomfortable, but not terrible. And I have pretty good handwriting, and my handwriting is shit here, so I was probably so anxious when I was writing that. And that's really critical. So this book will really help you break that down. Now remember, social anxiety affects millions of people. And anyone I know that has social anxiety and believes that they're an introvert, again, doesn't mean you can't like doing activities alone, I can tell in a matter of 5 seconds their fear. I could see it on them. It's always fear of rejection or people knowing they're stupid, or the fear of being physically uncomfortable in public. And I can't stand that, so I have to go home and hide. But you're going to die one day, and that's not going to be more than likely the life you want to live. So go out there, get uncomfortable, try new things, try new foods, travel by yourself if you want to, go on dates with new people, try activities you've maybe never done, skydiving like my wife does, bungee jumping, hiking, while they get a motorcycle, all these other things out there that people just won't partake in because they're so scared of certain type of rejection. Thank you so much for watching. I have just realized, put some WD-40 on that, huh? We have a couple webinars coming up. I always keep saying until it's over with. At the end of August, early September, we have the OCD Recovery Part 1, 2, and 3, which will be really, really good. If you're interested in that, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about social anxiety. Let me know whether you agree with me or not about the introvert. Remember, the best piece of advice I can give you, this plays directly into social anxiety. When you're in a social setting and you're having a conversation, whether it's about a debate, the big topics, right? Money, religion, politics, OCD recovery. The goal is not to change anyone's mind. The goal is to state your opinion, and whether people don't want to agree with you or not, that's unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, have a great day.